Guys, welcome to a new edition of the Screen Team. I'm excited about this show because we're going to be reviewing Han Solo a little bit later. The new Han Solo film. Super excited about it. And we've got some great guest reviewers, and we've also got Tonica.
Thank you.
Tonica is back on the show. Tonica, how the heck are you, man?
Doing okay.
We haven't seen you in 20 years.
I know.
Man.
I've been hiding out. I've been a hermit.
Have you been watching good movies, though?
Yes, I have.
While you've been a hermit?
Yes, I have. I bought the movie pass. I've only used it once.
Isn't that crazy? It's such a great deal, but we never use it. It's a great deal, though.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, we're going to get ready to review a movie that I absolutely adore. I love it. It's a Tim Burton film. I really think it's one of his best films he's ever done. Obviously,
it is his best to me.
I was kind of scared to say it out loud, but since you said it, I think I might agree with you. You know, you've got his classics like Batman and Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands, but I love this next one. It's called Big Fish. And this one was released in the early 2000s. And Tonica, this one to me kind of has a Wizard of Oz kind of feel to it. It's very fantasy based, and you don't know what's true and what's real. It's all about storytelling.
Yeah. And everything is symbolism. I mean, everything. I mean, even from the banjo player from Deliverance. I mean, it's just, that just blew me away when I figured that one out. But, yeah.
The cool thing about this film, it's a story about a father and a son.
Yes.
You've got the father who's played by, oh my God, I can't even think of his name right now. What's the father's name?
Gary Finney.
Albert Finney.
Albert Finney, thank you.
Finney. You helped me with the last name. I helped you with the first name. You had Albert Finney and his son, played by Billy Crudup. And Billy is he's having issues with his dad because his dad is a storyteller. You know, he tells big stories, big tales, and Billy Crudup's character is he's heard these stories one too many times, and he's not only is he tired of them, he doesn't know what's true and what isn't true about his dad and his life. It's
so much a fairy tale and it's so much exaggeration. Mm-hmm. You don't know if it's exaggerated, if he's really true or not. Yeah. And he's such a good storyteller that you can't see if he's lying or not.
Right.
Because he believes him so much himself. He's told him so many times.
Right.
So, yeah, we just don't know.
And we go through these stories again in this movie, and you feel like you're in some sort of fantasy land. You really are, you know. He's Albert Finney's character, who's also played by Ewan McGregor from Star Wars, Obi-Wan, and he is, they're both just so electric and just have like a magnetism about them, you know.
Right.
And they tell these stories, and he's kind of this character is kind of a big deal. But he's a big fish in a small town, basically, right? And not only is he a big fish in a small town, he's decided that he's going to find bigger things. He's going to go to a bigger city, right?
Yes. So he ends up joining the circus, which is a whole story within itself. I mean, and nobody could pull this off. I mean, Steven Spielberg was supposed to do this with Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
And they ended up not doing it and pulled in Tim Burton. I don't think it would have been such... it was great for adults. I think it's more fascinating for adults to get into this movie.
Sure.
Because I think with kids, a lot of it would go over their heads and they wouldn't catch a lot of it. They would laugh about certain things. But the whole thing of... him going into the circus and then him finding this town that's in the middle of nowhere, you know, and it's just, the cast is just phenomenal. Just, from Danny DeVito to the really tall guy who they made, who was already 7 feet, and they made him look like he was 12 feet. Right. I mean, only Tim Burton could probably pull that off, you know?
Yeah.
So.
You have any favorite scenes in the movie, Tonica?
The tub scene. I know.
What?
When
that's a very intimate moment.
I know. It's but they're fully dressed. Come on.
But still, it
is because, and the first two times I watched it, I never caught the significance of it until this last time, and that was just so touching. I cry at movies. I'll admit it. Yeah. And I did this one several times because it's very emotional, and I think that's why Tim Burton did such a good job with it, and he didn't slack on details. He didn't just throw things together. He made sure that it had the right heart. And I think it's because his dad passed away like a couple months before this, before they started filming, and then he was so emotional about some of the scenes between the father and the son,
right,
and how they had to deal with each other, and how they were trying to relate to each other, but they just couldn't.
Yeah.
They could not find that significant barrier. And once you see how Tim Burton pulls that all together, then you're just,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, my favorite scene is the end. And you talk about crying. I cried. You know, there's this scene where the son, I don't want to give it away, but the son has to take care of the father in a sense, and
I have goosebumps.
it's really a beautiful scene. It really, really is. This movie was not nominated for Best Picture. I was devastated. It should have been, man. It's such a good movie. And you know who does the song for the movie at the very end, the end credits? Anybody? Tonica? You know who does the song at the very end?
Normally, I had it in my notes, but I didn't bring it.
Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah, you would know that.
I would know that. It's such a great movie, and you had mentioned about it's kind of has a little bit of adult flavor, and it does. I tried to watch it with Luke a little bit. He got kind of bored. He's fine,
right?
But he was like, "Where's the big fish, Dad?" I was like, it's coming at the very end. So he kind of ignored the rest of it, but he was in for it when they showed the big fish. So little kids might be a little bit bored with it, but I think maybe, what do you think, about 10-year-olds and up? You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's a Tim Burton film starring Ewan McGregor, Albert Finney, Billy Crudup, Marion Cotillard. I can never pronounce her last name right.
I think so.
And Jessica Lange as well. Danny DeVito, too. So it's called Big Fish. Make sure you check it out. Coming up, we're going to review the Netflix film Bright, and a little bit later on, Solo, a Star Wars story is coming your way. We are the Scream Team, and we want you to know before you go.